Hey there, welcome back to True North Reviews. My name is Ryan. Today we're doing a highly anticipated album review of Vampire Weekend's Father of the Bride. This is the fourth studio album from the New York indie pop rock artist. This is also their first one on the Columbia Records label. This is following up 2013's Modern Vampires of the City. They originally consisted of the lead vocalist, guitarist, and pianist Ezra Koenig, drummer Chris Thompson, bassist Chris Baio, and multi-instrumentalist Rostam. Now, Father of the Bride is the first record that we see Rostam moving on to his solo career, although he does stick around for a couple tracks here on Father of the Bride. Notably for their sound, Vampire Weekend are cheerful, they're bright, they're pretty darn optimistic, but the lyrics here, especially on Father of the Bride, can be gloomy, and I think that's the main appeal for me here. For some listens, I can really hone in on the lyrics and just focus on them, while other times I can kind of disregard them and just rock out to the upbeat and sunny summer tunes. Now the intro cut on Father of the Bride, this one's entitled Hold You Now. This is featuring Daniel Hyam. This one I feel is a bit odd in terms of its structure. It's pretty disjointed. I just get this weird feeling with the stop and start guitar playing. It's like they never really finish the track. It kind of feels like it's in that demo stage of writing still. In terms of the genre or like the influence of the track, I feel like it's this weird country duet. There's also this weird gospel vocal manipulation that happens midway through the track, and at the tail end of it, I feel like the semitone half steps are pretty disgusting here. So this definitely isn't the way you want to start off the record, in my opinion. It's like one that was really highly anticipated, and I just can't get behind the opening track, and it's no wrongdoing against Danielle. I just feel like it's just a bit of an oddball to start the record. Putting aside the opening track on here, I feel like Harmony Hall is a strong return. I feel like this is one of the best songs of the year, top 10 quality for sure. It's got this weird meandering form, but I feel like the instrumental breakdowns that it goes for in like the interludes with the keyboards and the guitar solo, so fantastic. Got this bluegrass feel, it's very relaxed, it's happy, it's uplifting, and that's what Ezra Koenig wanted to emphasize with this album. He wanted something a bit more laid back and played with more of this carefree attitude or sentiment. Moving on from there, Bambina is a song that kind of drives home my earlier point about some of the songs on here feeling a bit disjointed, not only within the individual songs, but I feel like even more so as a cohesive project now. Bambina, though, I just feel like the layered auto-tune vocals in here and the right channel towards the outro, a little hideous, and it just comes out of left field, and it doesn't really feel like it's justified in any way. Again, rebounding with a very strong song, we get one of the singles that was put out before the album dropped. This one's entitled This Life. On here, the bass gets the spotlight. It's got this infectious groove. The backup vocals are compelling. They kind of sound like they're sun-blissed or rolling off the ocean waves during the chorus. Big Blue is another pre-release single on here that I didn't really care much for it upon its initial release, but I've warmed up to it for two reasons. One being that the acoustic guitar is sweet, and two, the gospel and grandiose harmonies in the middle of the track are ethereal, very delicate, and rather unearthly. How Long is a track on here that I don't really care much for. It's got like this claustrophobic vocal mixing. There's like no natural reverb on the vocals during the verse at all. That can be quite scary, especially when you're used to singing in a regular room that would have some kind of echo. The instrumental to How Long is definitely the most gripping part of the song, but I could really go without the vocals. Moving on from there, Unbearably White is a really catchy song on here. The vocal highlight on the project for sure. The chemistry between the guitars and the vocals is just unbelievable. Also, the dooming and eerie string instrumentation is a plus. I also love the bongos and the guiro on the track. On the chorus, Ezra says that it's hard on the body, it's hard on the mind to learn what kept us together, darling, is what kept us alive. I love these lyrics though. They say so much with so little, and they just remind us that, yeah, a failed relationship can have these everlasting kind of feelings that will make you feel like you can't really go on with your life. However, putting that aside, moving on to the next track, Rich Man, this is one of my favorites too. On here, the brevity doesn't really bother me. I like the psychedelic mixing of the drums and guitars. There's like no treble, there's like this heavy amount of bass. It's very intriguing. This really takes away the focus on those instruments and really puts it on the string melody, which is okay because it's really catchy. Something a bit more classical too. Another duet with Daniel Hyam is on this record. It's called Married in a Gold Rush. This comes around the middle part of the record. The strings on the outro definitely remind me of a band like the Strombellas. The grandiose scenery of the mix is enough to reel me in, even though the melody is a bit more forgettable. It really is an underwhelming country duet in my opinion. I feel like Danielle doesn't really bring much to the table for this record, which is quite unfortunate because I know that Danielle Haim, being a part of that sister group Haim, they have a lot of catchy songwriting. I just feel like it doesn't really come through on Father of the Bride. Now moving on from there, My Mistake is a sad piano ballad on here that kind of comes out of nowhere in the middle of the track listing. The horns are soulful and exquisite. I do admire them. I just feel like it doesn't really suit the cheerful or bright vibe of the album. Sympathy, though, is a great cut on here. The bass is so catchy. It's walk along at times. It's also funky and groovy. On Sympathy, I really love the children's choir during the outro. The vocal sample cuts are neat, and the explosion of the instrumental at the end of the song, definitely a highlight on the project. The mixing of the clapping and the acoustic guitar is so crisp and clean. We get like this double kick pedal, which is obviously like the most heavy metal influence we can have on a Vampire Weekend song. And you know what? It kind of suits them. I'd love to see more of this in the future. Moving on from there, Sunflower and Flower Moon. These are two cuts that see a collaboration with Steve Lacy from the band The Internet. The first of which, Sunflower, is very Beach Boys influenced. It's so life-affirming. The quirky little guitar lines on here are just played with such confidence and just blissfulness. And the dooba-dooba-doos are really fun to sing along with. It's a bit of this like vocal scatting. So lighthearted, it just drives home that original sentiment that Ezra was going for. He wants this album to be lighthearted. He wants it to be taken less seriously by critics. One of my favorite songs of the year, and it's all under 2.5 minutes. Flower Moon, though, this one I don't enjoy as much as Sunflower. I still think it's a good song. We get some hand claps and quirky guitar lines from Steve Lacy again. The horns and the guitars during the interlude on Flower Moon remind me quite a bit of Neil Diamond, but with more of this melodic meandering or exploration, which is a pretty damn good compliment because I love Neil Diamond. 2021 is the shortest of tracks on here. It's very brief and kind of pointless. We Belong Together follows that one up with Danielle Haim. This is her third country duet on here with Ezra. Ezra doesn't really want this to feel like it's country, but it really does sound like it to me. On We Belong Together, I feel like the overblown and maxed out mixing of the drums a little too much for me. The melody, though, from Danielle is sticky. I feel like it's the strongest of the three duets on here. Also, Danielle's harmonies are among the sweetest and most elegant on Father of the Bride. The lyrics are also a highlight. The transient nature of this kind of relationship is very insightful. Now, closing out the album, I want to comment on two songs, the first one being Stranger and the second one being Jerusalem, New York, Berlin. First one's got this country twang, as much of this record does, but it also throws in like this Motown influence with the horns. Very interesting, and this melding of genres is quite catchy. And then the closing cut, Jerusalem, New York, Berlin. I love the stripped back instrumentation to this one. The melody isn't as catchy as some of the other songs, but I feel like it's one that you just put on in the right mood where you're kind of thinking about life a bit more. Overall, I think Father of the Bride is a good album. I wouldn't necessarily call it great, although it does have the potential to be great. I think it would be better if some of the tracks were cut down. 18 songs is quite a bit to ask for. I do realize it's been a while since Vampire Weekend have put out a new record, so they might be throwing on a couple extra tracks just to make up for lost time. However, cuts like Hold You Now, Bambina, How Long, Married in a Gold Rush, 2021, they just don't feel like they're as high quality as some of the other songs on here in my opinion. Now don't get me wrong, an album that has 18 songs that is still under an hour is quite impressive. That does also mean you have to be quick and to the point with some of the songs that are under 3 minutes and sometimes even under 2 minutes. Some of the song structures on the shorter songs on here, they are brief and sometimes come off as underwhelming, a little disjointed, and at times I feel like the project can just feel like it's a bit of a slog to get through, even if we do have a few of these transition points. Father of the Bride, overall, I just want to say there are 11 or 12 really good songs on here, which I'll have referenced down below in the description. And if we're really just being cherry pickers here of these favorite songs of mine, at least I would think we'd have one of the better albums of the year. Possibly getting like this 8 or 9 out of 10, but because of this disjointed feeling of the album I keep getting on multiple listens, I can give Father of the Bride a strong 7 out of 10. Maybe over the rest of the year it might grow on me a bit more by the time that I rank my favorite albums of 2019, but yeah, I think it's a good album. I think it could have been better, but yeah, I feel like there's a lot of great tracks on here I'm going to put on a summer playlist. I'll come back to them in that kind of way. We'll leave it at that though. Sound off down below in the comments. Let me know what you think of Father of the Bride. Do you think it was worth the wait? Do you think it could have been better? Leave a like, subscribe if you're new in town. Thanks for watching today's video, and as always, have a rockin' day.